Welcome once again back to the casting desk. We're going to be bringing you guys the final series of the day. Of course, it's going to be the winner bracket finals between Virtus.pro and Na'Vi. We are already pretty far into the draft, so we can go ahead and hop inside of that, see what's going on. But before we talk about that, Cinderin, are you ready?
Yes.
Are
you ready?
I am also
Good.
ready. I don't have a choice. I have to be ready. Anyway, so...
That sounded very negative. It sounds like you.
Well, it's not really negative. I mean, I don't have a choice. I have to be ready. So VP, they get a hero that we don't really see much, but VP love this hero. They get Visage for Lil, something that they're very comfortable with, and Na'Vi ban out Drow in the first two.
Yeah, it's very interesting to see. Like, you get the feeling that these two teams know each other better than any other two teams know each other so far in the tournament. Like, the bans are... At least the Drow ban from Na'Vi is very different, and of course the Visage first pick is what they were anticipating and wanted to prevent them from running the standard Drow Visage combination. And they're going to respond with Undying Wyvern, so very standard picks for Na'Vi here. Probably their two supports most likely, so useful information for VP as they pick up Darkseer.
And you're actually a really big fan of the early pick Undying. I've kind of been torn on if I think it's really good, but I think the Pugna Undying that Nip run was a really strong combo in of itself. And I think that Winter Wyvern gives you a bit more flexibility in how you can run your lanes, because that hero just having Arctic Burn and Splinter Blast can be enough to force an engagement around Tombstone. So you drop it, you get a slower 2, and then you can actually look for kills.
The good news for VP in that regard is that they already have Surge.
Yes.
And what Visage actually has Grave Chill. So both of them have, at least, Visage has one for itself, and Darkseer has one for a teammate to be able to create a gap here. Wouldn't be surprised to see VP going for maybe something like a Centaur that we've seen. They picked that against NIP when they play Undying Pugna. It is a possibility here, which would probably put him in a safe lane farming role, which is definitely something they can do if they put a mid laner who scales well with farm. I'm thinking about maybe a G Templar Assassin could be a possibility. They already have Darkseer, Gyro's banned, and what
Queen's
else?
banned as well. Would actually be a really nice pick.
Which one, Queen?
Yeah, Queen is banned out, and that's obviously good against TA. You have to be pulled sentries, but lane still goes favorably for you. So yeah, I think TA is also looking pretty solid. And I know that G loves the hero. Like, he likes any lane dominator, really. He's kind of like Pycat in that regard. He loves to play lane bullies, and I actually think he might be a bit more versatile in some regards than Pycat, if you want to compare them directly. But of course, Na'Vi now looking at their third pick, see a lot of mid bans and kind of pushing bans. So it really seems like both teams vying for control over this middle lane.
Yeah, they're gonna grab the Weaver first though, so keeping the mid lane options open. I think they're looking for Dendi to get a strong lane. They want to counter pick mid, so they want to try to get Virtus.pro to pick theirs first. But can they actually force that with the order of the draft? They cannot. Virtus.pro have the overall last pick as well.
Yeah, they had first pick as they took Visage.
So it might actually be the thought process here for VP as well, that they just last pick their mid. And the TA I still think is a good pick, even though there is a Weaver. Of course, the Swarm can deal a little bit of damage and be annoying, but apart from that, Na'Vi not the best at removing Refraction. And it's a great hero at dealing with Tombstone. She hits really hard, and you have that and Familiars. Between those two, you can remove the Tombstone very easily, because Familiars will always be getting in on it. And TA with Refraction and Blink Dagger, Blink hit it twice, and it's gone. Also a natural Deso carrier, if you will. So
if you're thinking in terms of VP and you want to pick that TA last, what are you trying to secure for the rest of your lanes then? As the VP, they do secure themselves a Rubik. A lot of good spells to steal in this matchup. I mean, Winter Wyvern spells are all really good if you steal them. Shikuchi, obviously going to be high on your priority list. And if you're really lucky, you can steal stuff like Tombstone. But if I'm VP right now, I've picked my two supports. I already have my offlaner. Do we show our core now, or do we maybe pick up the TA to secure that middle matchup that we're looking for after Na'Vi have picked up?
This is a pretty good middle matchup for TA already. Dragon Knight doesn't really pose much of a threat.
So you feel safe just picking it up?
Although Elder Dragon form will, of course, be able to remove Refraction quite a bit when it comes to the early team fights, so maybe they think twice. And yeah, this has got to be a mid lane for Na'Vi, so I wouldn't mind seeing them counterpicking mid right now and waiting with the carry. Of course, they will probably want a carry who is comfortable fighting under Tombstone, as very early on they will not remove it. That pick is going to be Bristle, that Na'Vi will kind of struggle to bring down, especially if Rubik manages to steal Cold Embrace in one of the fights. Na'Vi's damage is right now like 90% physical, more or less. So it's definitely a very nice game for the Bristleback, not having to go for any sort of magic resist. We can probably see him rushing a Crimson Guard with Darkseer getting a mech, and their mid-game team fight, I think, will, at the current state, probably overwhelm Na'Vi's by quite a bit, even though they have the Undying, which is very rare to say.
They just have a very mobile and tanky lineup. Like most of the time when you see Rubik and you're playing up against these heroes with high mobility like Weaver and fighting around Tombstone, you think the hero is going to be a bit too fragile, but just having that surge to be able to get in and out of the fights and having Bristleback and even Visage, who can be a little bit more difficult to take down during the mid-late game, makes you pretty formidable. But I'm thinking for VP, what if this is a mid Bristleback? Because G has played it before. What if they last pick Slark? I actually think that hero does very well against Navi's lineup in regards to not having any way of locking him down outside of Dragon Tail. And DK is terrible against Slark in the late game. Like, he's just going to get mass Essence Shift stacks, and you're not going to be able to do a thing to him.
And he's very good with Iron Shell.
Yes.
I think he is my #1 best partner for Iron Shell. Slark is just godlike with that. I could definitely see that
Navi
working.
even think it's mid-Bristle. They just ban Jug.
Yeah.
So they definitely
Looks
think
like
it's G, yeah. And the Seeker comes out.
I think Jugger could have definitely been a good pick here as well. And they're going to ban Seeker, so they're more or less certain that it is a support Undying. I was wondering if Navi would actually try to pull out the Chen here and run Undying as an offlaner, because Virtus.pro have pretty poor wave clear.
Yeah,
Iron Shell is not reliable. They have Fade Bolt, and Quill Spray takes time. So we could see Chen Dragon Knight in combination, and of course the Tombstone to push early towers. I think this could definitely be an approach. Because as I mentioned before, I don't think they're going to win team fights, at least in the current state of the draft. So they either need to solve that problem, or they need to find just a different playstyle. And Chen is good at pushing before Bristle really comes online, and can also gank him in mid. I'm going to go for Beastmaster, however, so it is definitely support Undying Wyvern. And, oh, nice.
Silencer.
Something new.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's interesting to me because it's going to be position 1. Illidan's going to pick it up, which means normally when I see Silencer and a core roll, I think you want a lineup that can actually force the fight in a big way. Like, do I have any AoE lockdown? Do I have like a puck? Do I have some way of kind of making them fight around the silence? The alternative is, does the other team have to hard commit to the fight? So like, for instance, I guess Navi, they drop Tombstone, they throw out a Winter's Curse. Maybe you can silence off of that. But I don't know if Navi have the kind of team where a well-placed global silence is gonna like totally wreck against some lineups. But I still think it's fairly good. High damage output during the mid game, and global can be utilized pretty effectively by some of the heroes that they have. So,
and a core silencer tends to get pretty farmed, and then Glaives of Wisdom can actually shred Dragon Knight, even with his high armor. That doesn't matter. So, could definitely be interesting here, and also able to deal damage in Cold Embrace, which we should not forget. Like, obviously loses a big part of the damage, but still has some. And don't forget, Vacuum into Curse of the Silent, the combo.
I mean, heck, just vacuum into anything is the combo, right? But we can
vacuum into Quill Spray.
Maybe the sickest combo that we'd ever seen in a Winners Bracket Finals here at Season 3 of the ASUS ROG DreamLeague. But we can go over the players really fast here. We'll start on the side of Virtus.pro. We're going to have G handling that middle Bristleback. We're going to have Lil playing on his signature Visage. FNG, team captain / drafter. He'll be playing your Rubik. Illidan Stormrage going to be playing the position 1 silencer. And then finally, we're going to have Full Boss playing on the Darkseer.
And for Navi, art style, playing as Undying together with Vost on Weaver. Got Soneko, surprise, surprise, on the Wyvern. Dendi will be playing Dragon Knight, and finally Funnick, as always, for Navi, will be playing the Beastmaster. So, interested to see how the lanes shape up from the beginning here, if VP get what they're looking for. I think if they can get Darkseer one-on-one, well, basically any lane here is actually good for Darkseer. There's nothing that's really going to shut him down, so he's probably going to be very happy with the draft he's facing in the early stage.
And no good zoning heroes, really, on the side of Navi. I guess ideally, if you're Navi, you want the Weaver to be in his lane. That's probably, like, the best bet. If you can't rely on your supports to zone the hero, then you want to put a core against him that can actually farm under pressure. And I think Weaver is maybe one of those choices. But as it stands right now, it seems like it's just going to be the dual offlane coming out from Navi. They're going to send the Weaver and the Undying up against what is going to be that Darkseer. So I guess that lane matchup will end up coming to fruition regardless. And then we're going to have DK versus Bristle mid, maybe the most uneventful lane in the history of Dota. They're just pretty much going to run at each other and try to farm it up. But I would say, to a degree, this matchup, does either team really look to gank this? Because I don't think they do.
I think VP can, potentially, because Visage just has so much magic damage that destroys Dragon Knight in the early stage. Like, Dragon Knight has high armor when he gets points into Dragon Blood, but his base strength isn't that good. His strength gain, however, is very high, so you need to gank him on the early levels, but ganking the Bristle for Navi is going to be almost impossible with their combination of heroes, so I would definitely not expect them to do it now. Aggressive Trilane from Virtus. They're going to run into Funnick, who's going to get completely shut down by this, and just this early setup, I think, favors Virtus.pro quite a bit. They will be winning 2 lanes, or not winning 2 lanes. They will be winning bottom for sure. I think they tie mid, and I think Darkseer gets more.
Sanako here in middle lane.
Classic Sanako play.
Oh, he's walking it into the trees. He gets one more auto attack with the Arctic Burn. Courier down. Bottle, of course, was ferried to G before it dropped, so it's not going to be a total disaster, but very nicely.
Yeah, Sanako loves doing this when he's playing the Winter Wyvern and is able to move early on. This is basically more valuable than a First Blood, so very important play. It's gonna probably allow Funnick to get boots fairly soon. Might give Dendi a slight edge in the mid lane, as it's currently completely even, so he will be leading because of that influx of gold.
It comes down to rune control, though, right? Like, if G gets bottom rune, because he has a tri-lane bottom, I don't think the courier kill is going to matter too much, at least for him. Like, right now, he gets a secure, he's got, like, his tri-lane, so it's just going to be a bit annoying.
And very important to note is Funnick is level 1, and I don't think this is going to change anytime soon as long as FNG plays like this. Whereas Phobos is almost level 3 in the top lane, and Na'Vi have really bad heroes at ganking Darkseer. They actually have none until they have level 6 on the Beastmaster or Dragon Knight. They will never be able to get him. Whenever they go in with Tombstone and the Arctic Burn, he can just surge, as they're going to try for G in mid, actually. We said it wasn't going to happen.
It's happening,
We were wrong.
He is dead. Na'Vi draw the first blood, art style, picking up the kill. Double damage, of course, helping tremendously in that regard.
And what's cool about a gank like this is that there's no way VP are going to expect this either, because it's such an unlikely gank. Now, because they have a double damage on Undying and they get the perfect initiation like that, they'll definitely pull it off as Vinci, as well as
the creep block!
Oh, wow.
Oh my god, that was almost a disaster. Unfortunately, Lil was not in range to get a Soul Assumption or a Grave Chill, but...
Oh, actually, just want to point out, Visage, a very nice hero to have Mango on. We don't see Visage played so much these days, but he is one of the heroes that has a very low cooldown, very high mana cost ability in the laning stage, and Mango is basically another free Soul Assumption, so very nice.
So you're saying that most heroes getting like 5 mangoes isn't a legit starting build?
Only on Medusa, if you're against a very hard lane. Just keep
I'm just
keep
making
healing up.
sure.
It's got no cooldown, right?
That's
you just
true.
keep your mana shield going.
You're actually invincible with that build.
It's pretty good.
Confirmed. Okay, so if we're in this kind of relatively static laning phase, and we're Na'Vi, and our mid game is going to be reliant, I mean, it's not really a 4 protect one, but at the end of the day, you're going to want to try to make some space for Phobos, maybe use Dendi's Dragon Form to start pressuring some towers. Are you comfortable with the way that things are going right now?
I think you're not comfortable with Beastmaster being level 1, and
Place 2 now.
that's why they've rotated, right? Because they need Funnick to be a part of this game. The Roar is going to be a key ability as they put a lot of pressure down here. Tombstone goes out. They're going to use Arctic Burn as well, and Lil could actually be in trouble. He used his Grave Chill already. He's completely cornered. Very nice dive from Na'Vi, who might even be able to get a bonus kill here. If Funnick can get in, no Boar available, however, as Illidan is running, but the Boar actually does reach, and now a Splinter Blast as well. Nice stick usage, though. What is this? Na'Vi diving into your 3-minute 4? Definitely, and they're going to trade. How many are they going to trade? What time is this?
That's not your base, Na'Vi. Lil's already back into the action right now. He wants to find Sonico. He's going to go for the teleport out after using Cold Embrace onto Artstyle. Artstyle is just going for the well. He's like, I need a TP. There's no disables. Is he really making it out of this? Even G's coming into the fray.
Oh my
Artstyle makes
God.
it away. Are you serious? 5-minute base dive, and Na'Vi don't lose a person for it. Actually, they lost one. Excuse me, they lost Funnick. But still, that was ridiculous.
There's no other team that you would expect to do that. It shouldn't come as that big of a surprise. Artstyle on strength support hero means dive tower.
I mean, they dove multiple towers. Wasn't even just one. They're like, yeah, tier 2, whatever. Tier 3, it's not so bad. You know, just dive, buy TPs from the enemy well, less than 5 minutes in. It's standard play. But I think both of us were kind of in agreement before this game even started that we'd be looking...
G.
Oh, middle lane, yeah, Dragon Tail. Tombstone's dropped on top of that. Arctic Burn with a Splinter Blast doing quite a bit of slow. And G just can't walk it off. Not tanky enough. Na'Vi get another kill. It's a killing spree for Artstyle.
Yeah, VP just not ready with the defensive TPs. I think that's a kill they can definitely avoid with a TP on Rubik. Maybe even Visage coming in there could have saved him, as Phobos needs to be a little bit careful top. He does have a bottle, however, so might actually try to turn it on Phobos. As, wow, he's taking quite a bit of damage here.
Yeah, you can't really afford to...
He used
go for
time-lapse
the target
already.
burn. He was eating a double shell for quite some time. Had to use his time-lapse very early in that engagement, but still, a lot of pressure being focused here on this middle lane from Na'Vi. Artstyle is going to grab himself an Invis in here bottom. At the very least, takes it away from FNG, and I think both of us kind of underestimated the killing power on this middle.
Oh, I've seen this movie before. The last 2 times G did die.
Radiant's top tower
There's
is
no
under
Arctic.
attack.
This
no
is
Arctic
this is the
man.
boring sequel
Dire's
with
middle tower is under attack.
Boring strikes back. Slowest death NA. Or EU, I guess, in this case.
Die Hard, no death.
Well, so Na'Vi have forced quite a bit of reaction out of VP. Like, their supports are starting to rotate around. That means that Funnick is getting a little bit of lane relief. He's halfway to level 5 now. He's starting to recover. They even want to go for Illidan here. Splinter Blast, immediate teleport reaction from Illidan will be able to save him. It was a very, very nice reaction. I guess teleport scrolls are MVP right now for both teams. Just teleport away if you're getting chased down.
That
Only
is a really good
disable.
counter to Navi's lineup right now.
Yeah.
Which is probably something that they could have avoided one of the, or at least one, maybe 2 of the previous kills with just having a TP. Even on G, whenever Dendi starts with Dragon Tail, he could just TP after, and these ganks would not be successful for Na'Vi. But yeah, they've managed to get a couple of kills early, and putting them in a pretty good position now. What's funny? He's level 5. We've got 4 on Wyvern and 4 on Undying. Level 7, or 7 minutes in, that's probably what Na'Vi were looking for so far, even though they're behind in XP.
That's actually interesting. With a 3-kill advantage, they're behind in the XP. But I guess they are committing like multiple heroes to rotating every single time. Dendi, in the meantime, he's going to pop his ulti, just dealing some damage to the tier 1 mid. Will VP be able to go for the deny here? It's going to get pretty low. They'll most likely expend the glyph, but I think with the couple of supports missing on the map, the VP are not going to want to try to defend this.
Tombstone from Arsenal. Want to definitely secure this last hit for Dendi. You'll get it.
Dire's middle tower has fallen.
50 CS on Dragon Knight minute 8 in mid is actually very, very high.
Yeah.
Of course, he has got a lot of help, but still, it's a very good start. This hero does not do well when played from behind if he loses in the mid lane. Definitely not the case this time around. As we haven't been talking too much about Phobos, who has been out farming Kvost quite a bit, and that's just the nature of this kind of lane. He shells the wave, and then he can also just farm the jungle at the same time. So we're looking at a very fast mech for Phobos, and should be a very valuable item against a Na'Vi team that definitely is looking to fight and will not have a mech of their own in the upcoming fights.
Yeah, and I actually think that it's so good to have a team like Virtus.pro, when you have to deal with that Weaver as well, to have a couple of heroes at least who can just TP away from the Weaver, be able to teleport in, shell the wave, just counter push. You don't really have to worry about Havos that much until a little bit later into the game. And as you said, he's not really farming at the same rate as the Darkseer in the first place. So with that time that they can buy, hopefully they can recover a little bit on G. Because right now, I mean, he's still farming CS-wise roughly the same as Dendi, but with the ganks that he's received, he doesn't really have much.
Well, we need to consider that quite a few of his CS just then were Ancients, so
Yeah.
got a lot of extra gold out of this stack, but it is to be expected, of course, that he does grab that. And the question is what item build we see him go for. He could buy the treads now, or he could start looking at a vitality booster. He's going to go the treads first.
I think treads on Bristle are like core even before Vanguard in almost every situation, just because of tread swapping on that
Yeah,
hero
it's really
is
good.
so valued.
It is very, very good.
Now, Na'Vi once again sieging up here. This time it's going to be the bottom tier one. Double Dragon, OP confirmed.
And that was the weakness we talked about for VP in the draft, that they have pretty weak wave clear. So
Yes.
when Na'Vi group up for this, we were talking about the possibility of grabbing a Chen. They went for Beastmaster, who can also push the boars, and of course the Aura helping out nicely. And they need to be careful they don't lose too many towers early. They've lost 2 tier 1s in 9 minutes. They haven't even got close to claiming one themselves, barely done any damage even.
I think the one nice thing about Dragon Knight in this particular draft too is you don't really have to commit with the hero. You just pop the ulti, you throw a few auto attacks off onto the tower, and it's kind of like Pugna in a sense. You're guaranteeing that you're going to get damage out. It's never wasted time to sit there and attack the tower because you do it once or twice and it just dies. The enemy team either puts up a defense or they let it drop. So I think that no matter what, Na'Vi are going to continue to be able they're going to continue applying pressure like this until VP can put together a defense, and I think that's going to be heavily based on that mech that you mentioned earlier, Phobos.
Yeah, they should definitely be looking to fight when they have the mech. If they just keep farming and they have a mech in case Na'Vi starts a team fight, I think they're playing it wrong. They need to initiate with the Rubik, who's found a decently fast level 6. It's time for Visage to get his 6 as well. They're giving Lil a little bit of space in mid. And then at that point, I believe their teamfight is actually stronger than Navi's. Unless if Na'Vi get the jump with Dendi's soon-to-be completed Shadowblade, minute 11. And he's obviously going to turn that into Silver Edge against the Bristle.
Yep.
So they need to hit their timing window very well, as Soniko is mega dead. Will be killed by Lil, who gets a decent amount of experience from that.
Not even that bad though. I mean, they trade a tier 1 for a support. I think Na'Vi are A-okay. And I'm pretty sure Dendi didn't even use Dragon Form. Yep, was still on cooldown from the last time.
Navi can actually hold this tower too. They could drop the Tombstone, and that's probably going to repel VP.
Oh, Artstyle going in.
Drop it here, and yeah, let's get the hell out of there.
They just bail. There's not really that great of chase, although Havos is coming in. Dendi walking closer, does have that Dragon Form.
Oh wow, they reached the roar!
Long distance, Illidan going to be going down here. Wall is dropped. Soul Subject going off on Dendi to try to turn him away, but Phobos, he just dropping way too fast. Havos now on chase, going after G. They're not really doing too much damage to the Bristle right now. They should eventually fall back, and they do. Savos is used to time-lapse himself back, but I mean, these engagements all very heavily favoring Navi.
Yeah, a little bit conservative with the Global Silence. We haven't seen it used yet. I think Illidan could have definitely saved them both there, but they were expecting that they would be able to get out.
Yeah.
But when they see Navi chasing like that and closing the gap, you just global TP. These 2 kills are very, very important. Navi just keeps snowballing off it. Dendi's Shadowblade is already complete at minute 12.
That's actually crazy.
Really scary right now, and he's even going to get the stack. I'm wondering how many minutes it's going to take before this is a full Silver Edge, and then Bristle is not even going to be scary anymore. That's very early on into the game that they will have a nice counter.
Do you think that he actually opts to go for the Silver Edge, or do you think that maybe BKB in this case just protects you a little bit more? Because honestly, with the magic immunity, what kills him on VP? Like, the Silencer will deal no damage because Glaives don't pierce magic immunity, and the Bristleback doesn't really do any damage on his own. So you're actually still thinking that Silver Edge is the choice?
I'm just wondering if he's going to die even without it.
Yeah, that's true.
The majority of VP's damage is physical. The main thing he needs to be careful with is the soul assumption, but he can rely on the fact that if VP try to go for him, it's going to take them time. So he's definitely going to get a soul rip, and he might get a cold embrace too. So I would say definitely go for the aggressive build with the Silver Edge and try
it's
to
better
get some
for pushing
keep
too.
Yes.
Slightly better. Navi.
And also gives decent health against still a Sanj builder. So.
Yeah, it's 16 strength, right? Something like
so.
that.
It's pretty good. Let me check that. I'm actually not sure about the stats on that item, but where is it? Why can't I find it?
I think it is 16. Oh, bottom lane. Vacuum. Onto.
Yeah,
Tombstone is dropped here. Going to see a lift onto Artstyle, but I do not think VP want to be diving under the tower. It's going to be repelled for the time being. And Phobos, I think he's sending out his mech right now. Yes, indeed he is. So if they want to try to pressure this tier 1, the Tombstone will be on cooldown. They want to go deep. G is going in right now. FNG with the stolen Shikuchi. They dropped the global, but they're not really dealing any damage in this time. Sonico got his mark to burn off, but he's actually going to fly into the entirety of VP. Puts himself in a cold embrace, but it's just delaying the inevitable. Artstyle went for the TP out, got canceled by the telekinesis. Soul Assumption goes off. Artstyle likely going to be dropping here as well. Stolen Decay from the Rubik. See if he can maybe snatch a Lassie here, but I think they'll probably just give it to Illidan, and indeed they do.
+2.
Yep, +2. That
actually
is one
+8
dumb
now.
zombie. Oh, Dendi, though, in the meantime.
Yeah, Navi are getting a decent trade again. They might defend their bottom tier 1 even with a couple of good TPs, and they got a tier 2 top, so I want to say overall that trade even. Maybe even favoring Navi at the end.
We haven't really talked much about it, but VP's push is pretty lackluster.
Yes,
Like,
absolutely.
you kind of need Visage Birds to deal damage to the towers, and that's not a good position to be in. Like, you want to be able to use them to scout a bit more, look for kills, open up with a handful of stuns, but if you need that damage at this stage in the game, you need to start winning fights, like a lot of them, and then use your item and gold advantage to try to push that way, because Navi have huge superiority when it comes to push.
They just need to keep looking for fights like that. And
Yeah.
the next time they do it, there's not going to be a tier 2 for Navi to claim top, so if they push out their waves decently, as Phobos is roasted by
Gone
Dendi.
Oh, can they find a counter kill?
Sonico.
Nice curse coming off onto Illidan. FNG, he gets the stolen curse, puts it onto Funnick. The book is attacking him as well. He's forced to run away. FNG, though, not going to be making it out of this one. Does end up saving at least one of his teammates. And I guess a value trade for now, but the Splinter Blast connecting on 2. Here comes Savos from the back. Shikuchi's in. Lil, he's going to go down. Not able to get another Soul Assumption off. Artstyle, in the meantime, putting the Cold Embrace to heal up. And Illidan, he drops under his tier 3 tower. G now forced to run away. No one is on the side of VP to help him at all. He's just standing by his tier 3 all on his own. 4 members dead from Virtus.pro here at just 15 minutes in. And Navi, they got the Dragon Form. They're going for the tier 2.
The moment Artstyle runs in, VP actually don't have much of a counterplay without global. He just runs in front. They can't turn on him because they know he's going to get cold embraced and just stay alive, and he already uses all of his big abilities. And Navi are taking really big advantage of the early lead they got in this game and just skyrocketing on the gold graphs now, getting another tower. Almost claiming all tier 2s at minute 16. They might get this bottom one as well, to be honest. I'm not sure if if VP can fight it, but they're definitely going to try for it. And on second thought, Na'Vi will probably go back here. Even they have a third dragon for him, but this is not the time.
Well, VP feeling a little bit under the knife here. Gonna go ahead and smoke up, looking for some kind of action. I think maybe they were assuming Na'Vi would try Roshan, or maybe they just want to sneak it themselves. Wouldn't be too bad of an idea at this point. If they can get it unpunished, that would be a very good thing. Maybe they can take a team fight off of this. But who do you give it to? You give it to G or Illidan, I guess.
Yeah. I think you give it to G in this case, and just have him run. Oh, well, you need to get it first.
God. Well, there's 4 stacks of goo on him, so he's going to be
They
dropping
cannot afford
quick.
to lose this Roche. That would be an absolute
I think
disaster.
they get it. I think they do get it, but the
What's it gonna
damage
cost,
into the
though?
pit, they pop the mech. DK Phobos is solo, vacuum into the pit from Sonico, but he flies away with the Arctic Burn on Dendi. He's forced to run away. The curse coming in from Sonico, taking down Phobos. It looks like Na'Vi want to overrun this fight. Illidan, he's running away, but there's just too many zombies. He has Aegis, it's going to get popped. Lil dies on the back line. Roar coming out onto G. He's going to be dropping next, and I don't think Illidan, even with the Aegis, is going to be able to do a whole heck of a lot here. Another Breathe Fire coming in from Dendi, securing the kill onto G. Illidan, he gets 1 kill.
Wow,
He's actually
really?
still alive. Lil with the
Really,
bird stuns.
Illidan?
It's coming in. Funnick, he's very low right now. Stolen Shikuchi from FNG. He actually kills a Necronomicon creep on his way and taking half his health and damage. And now Funnick throws out the axes, ends up going down to the Rubik, and in the end, almost everyone on both teams die.
Holy shit, what a
And
turnaround.
Illidan died twice. So I still say that Na'Vi probably come out ahead just on the sheer fact that they had Aegis and they wanted to try to do something for it. But in terms of experience, VP come out on top.
That was insane. I was sure they had lost that fight entirely.
Those birds, man.
Yeah, the birds. And Illidan dealt a lot of damage, just barely staying alive there, getting so many attacks off and stealing even more intelligence. He's starting to turn into a decent core. He has opted to go for the Rod of Atos build, which is going to provide a lot of utility. I want to say even against the Undying that you usually don't see that item used on, but they just need to kite and buy time, basically, in these fights. And of course, it is a good item stat-wise for Silencer. Gives him everything he wants, intelligence and a lot of health. And I'm curious to see where Illidan goes with this. He could look for a very aggressive build with something like a Hex. I think he can't really afford to get another defensive item after getting and the Atos already. Needs to get something that deals some good damage. So I'm thinking Force Staff as like a hybrid, or maybe going for the full aggressive Hex here.
I think Force Staff is really nice. I mean, they only have 2 single target disables, really. I guess Curse is kind of one of them too, but if you Force Staff somebody away from a DK stun or a Roar, that's really nice to be able to just get them out of harm's way, and then you can look to this global on top of that and maybe take a fight. But as far as the Silencer's overall effectiveness, I'm not really feeling like... It's not that Illidan's playing it poorly, it's just I don't know if the hero is supposed to function that well against this lineup in particular. Because they're not like waiting for a wombo combo, they're not able to use the silence to force an engagement. It's more just like, okay, we pop it at a random time and hope for the best.
Yeah, it did seem like a little bit of an odd pick when they got it here. They didn't have one good global that gave them 2 kills bottom when they traded for the tier 2 top, so that wasn't really that beneficial after all.
That was a tower dive, right?
But if they start to set up the fight, like, we need to be looking at what VP are definitely planning for in the next 10 minutes, where Darkseer will have a blink within a few minutes, I'm assuming. So if they can blink vacuum and then global right away, they give a lot of time for the Bristle to start stacking up quills. The birds can drop an even combo afterwards. And of course, Rubik can pretty much steal whatever spell he wants during that time if they time it well. And maybe, maybe globaling and stealing a key ability could give them the teamfight ability they need.
Yeah, that's very true.
It's a
It's hard to
possible plan.
coordinate that, though.
Yeah, it is very difficult. But it could work. And by the way, Dendi did go for BKB. Did I mention that instead of the...
He just picked it up right now
Yeah.
as they're pushing into the tier 2.
went for that instead of the Silver Edge. Definitely going to be his next choice. There's pretty much no doubt about that.
Yeah, I think so too. Oh, global?
Okay. They found
if-
some Echo.
Yeah, I mean, if they global for 1 and they force Na'Vi back, I think it's still worth it. They are going to get the kill onto the Winter Wyvern, but they want to turn it around. And Illidan Roar comes in, vacuum a wall onto Dendi. He's forced him up to BKB, but the Breathe Fire doing so much damage to the side of VP. They just can't stand here. Surge away from FNG still drops regardless. Lil getting chased down, ends up dropping to Dendi as well. And it looks like VP are just kind of falling apart at this point. FNG buys back, but they're going to lose their Darkseer, and G does not look to be in great shape either. No teleport to his name. He's doing quite a bit of damage with Quills, though. Maybe they can turn this around. FNG with the Stolen Breathe Fire, dealing quite a bit of damage. G still alive, just facing his back to Artstyle. Are you serious? He's still alive right now. G living through everything. The buyback from FNG actually paying off
these turnarounds that VP managed to get on fights that are just completely lost.
Like FNG, if he stole any other spell than Breathe Fire, that buyback would have not worked.
Yeah.
Like even Decay wouldn't have done as much damage, and he got 2 off in the time that it took him to kill G. He still had his Crimson during that team fight and just turned his back to the wall. Like, if I can't see them, they're not there.
And I think Dendi is actually doing 0 damage because of Crimson Guard active and the damage reduction from Breathe Fire. Of course, the 35% reduction on that ability is enough to keep him alive there. And I want to say, he used that. Did you see how late he used the Crimson Guard? It's like,
It was very
I don't need my team. I'm going to use it when I'm the only person left.
Would it have been on cooldown for any reason? Like, I'm thinking to myself, is there actually any way that item was on cooldown?
I think he just, I don't know. I think he forgot to use it, honestly. I don't know if that would have been a better, like, that's the funny thing. It might have been a worse play. Because maybe Na'Vi would have got a couple of kills and they would have been damaged and they would have thought, okay, we need to retreat. But instead they get greedy, and I don't blame them for it. That looked like such an easily won fight, but it's going to end up pretty much in a draw.
I think a draw still favors VP, though, in the current position that they're in. I don't think that DK and Weaver necessarily fall off, but I do feel that Undying does. Even though Art Styles had a very good game so far, like he's 7-3 and 10. He's been involved in pretty much all the action, as you would expect an Undying to be. But I just kind of think that going high ground for Na'Vi is going to be the real test. You have DK, so your high ground siege isn't too bad, but the Weaver has been forced into buying a Drums BKB, so it's a very defensive build. Obviously wants it against the Silencer, but I'm wondering if Manta might not have been better for him in this game. Like, just as a kind of hybrid item, you get the Yasha and the Orb, it gives you some stats, you get good tankiness from it, and it's not really like VP can burst you in any way.
It's decent. I just feel like the actual illusions, like, it's good for breaking the silence, but so for the purpose of just using it defensively, it's cool.
Yeah.
But the illusions of Weaver itself, like, doesn't have the best stats.
Yeah, pretty meh.
They have short range. They're not really tanky, even though it, of course, does give 10 attributes, like you said. So I just feel like it's one of the worst agility carries, actually, in general, to get Manta on. In this game, I would agree, though, that there is some merit. I still think BKB is just the more solid choice.
It's a safer item, for sure.
Yeah, because else if he plays aggressively and he suddenly gets telekinesis, he could just get burst down in one go.
Yeah, that's very, very true. Funnick here, he's got his book 3. And this is the guy who was level 1 at, what, like 4 or 5 minutes into the game? Got tri-laned against pretty much from VP. And now he's 23 minutes in, he's got his book and halfway to Blink Dagger. That's going to be his next choice. And the rest of Na'Vi just continually applying pressure here. And for once, VP are not looking for any kind of lane push or smoke or anything like that. They're actually just stuck in their base. And this is a really bad feeling, I think, if you're VP.
I think they are making the decision to save their smoke for when Roshan can spawn. And instead of making a smoke play now, which might result in a kill or two, their next smoke is on 4-minute cooldown in stock. So they need to make sure that this one counts. And they will easily be able to hold the line, I think. For Na'Vi to push into the base, like you said, is going to be the real challenge. And they want Na'Vi to come in there, because they have Blink on Darks here, and I don't think he has shown it. Now with the Crimson Guard already used from Art Style, that's a big item that's going to be on cooldown should the fight break out in a moment. And maybe Na'Vi will just claim a little bit of damage here. Maybe not. They're going to just go in for G. This could be a big mistake.
A vacuum wall. The Global Silence comes out. Dendi, though, pops the BKBs, trying to go back onto Phobos. They kill the Tombstone. I'm not sure if they want to pursue outside of the base, but VP, they feel confident. They're going to go for it. They throw a Surge out on a G, turns his back to take minimal damage. FNG, though, getting kind of caught out on the front line. He steals the Chikuchi just in time to make himself back. And now Weaver pops his own BKB, wants to continue to chase, but there's just not enough damage output to take anyone down from VP. They want to turn it again. They find Dendi in the front line. Cold Embrace, going to keep him alive for the time being. FNG still going in aggressively with that Chikuchi. They find the kill on Dendi. And Virtus.pro, they defend their high ground.
Oh, nice Blink Vacuum as well.
Oh, Art
Bonus
Style.
kill.
He's a goner. Not going to be able to walk that one off. Are they going to be able to find Funnick too?
Look at FNG, how low he is.
Lift. He's got the lift. He's going for the TP. He baits it out. He manages to get it. They're going to find 3 kills here.
And it's more intelligence in the bank for Illidan, now up to 22. Did you notice how hard he actually hit?
Yeah, he
with
hits
Cold Embrace on?
like a truck.
It's 90% of his intelligence he's doing in bonus damage. His current int is, what's that? 130? It's 128, correct me if I'm wrong, right? Yeah,
somewhere around
128. So that means his glaives do an extra about 110 pure damage.
I think, yeah, it was like 108 when he was
When you
hitting
look
that
at
creep.
Dendi's health pool, that means every single glaive is about 10% of his
That's
total
true.
health. Or maybe that's a little bit of an exaggeration. Let's say 7 or 8.
But
And
you
with-
also have to account for the physical damage as well. So it is probably
Well, if
like...
he's Cold Embrace, that's 0.
Yeah, that's true.
So-
That's true.
So yeah, outside of Cold Embrace, he just gets destroyed if he doesn't have BKB up.
But that BKB charge was the 9-second BKB that Dendy popped. So I think they have like 2 or 3 more tries to go high ground where they feel like if they just get one good initiation, they're probably set and they can maybe look to racks. But that's also, VP didn't have to buy back. They didn't even lose a hero. So that's a little bit concerning if I'm Na'Vi right now. I say, okay, we just failed the high ground push, and we failed it pretty badly.
They lost their entire lead almost on that play.
Yeah.
I think a lot of other teams play that safe and maintain their lead and then go for the Roche play. But instead now, this inevitable Roche fight is going to be Na'Vi with a 2k lead instead of a 7k lead. And then all of a sudden, VP will... If Na'Vi do not make the most of their BKBs, I think they lose every fight. The Tombstone gets destroyed by the Bristleback as well as the Visage as expected. And once the Tombstone is down and their BKBs are down, they're suddenly not looking so hot in the fights anymore, so they need to be very careful.
I honestly think that FNG being able to have Shikuchi at his disposal makes such a big difference in these team fights. Like, how in the hell else is a Rubik ever going to walk up into that lineup and get a lift? Like, he would just evaporate otherwise. So the fact that he's been able to utilize that spell so effectively in these fights has made a huge difference. Like, between him and the Darkseer, they get 2 bonus kills, and that team fight where I guess they kind of threw out a Winter's Curse onto the worst target.
Yeah,
like,
that was kind of wasted.
Putting it onto G was like, maybe they were feeling very confident that they could even just force a fight off that, but I don't think they'll make that mistake again.
I agree. That was definitely not the play. A rare mistake, might I add, from Soneko on the Wyvern, who usually gets really, really good ultimates, but
yeah,
got a little too eager, as we're going to actually have the double smoke action here with Na'Vi having vision over Roshan currently with the Hawk sitting there. Virtus.pro will probably claim this bottom tower for free as a result. Worth noting as well, VP do have their glyph, so if Na'Vi start pushing into the base now, they can buy time and get back, and that is definitely going to be Na'Vi's play. They have the Necro 3 out in mid, then he has Dragon Form ready.
We're looking for another big vacuum wall here as well. And important to note,
he didn't reach it. No tower damage.
Oh, okay. Still good for VP, but Lil actually has a Solar Crest. I'm not sure if you brought that up, but I think we haven't really talked about it yet. And that's huge for Bristle. Like, just having that hero frontline. He picked up a Crimson, he's got his SNY, and he's sitting on 1,700 gold. So G is actually getting to the point where he is a pretty big threat. And speaking of threats, Na'Vi right now...
I think VP are going to be too late. That double damage on Dindy making the world of difference. But maybe with the bird drops, they're buying time. And should the Roche fall, I think VP are still interested in fighting, to be honest.
Now, the Tombstone's already down, though. This is a very, very scary engagement if VP want to go for it. They feel confident. They get a 3-man vacuum into a wall. The Global followed up. Double BKB from Na'Vi. They want to turn and fight. A little bit of damage being done to FNG here. He can't stand.
Blown up here.
The Curse comes out onto Lil. The Roar coming out as well onto G. Funnick, though, getting lifted. Fight so far seemingly going kind of even. Your FNG going to be the first one to drop. Double kill coming out from a Boast. He time-lapsed. He's still up half HP. G dropping inside of the river. There's too many zombies. The damage output from Na'Vi, it should be enough with another Dragon Tail. And VP maybe biting off a little bit more than they can chew. They did get the Aegis off of Volst in the meantime, so they might have to buy back on their Bristleback here. The important part is, can they defend high ground? They did force out the Dragon Form from Dendy.
They did so much damage to Dendy, but the Soul Ridge from Artstyle, that burst heal really saved the fight. If Dendy dies early there, I think they overrun Na'Vi, but keeping that key hero alive allows them to extend the fight long enough to take it over. And more than likely, obviously wait a minute, they don't have creeps in the base, so might not be able to claim this tower. Now they do get creeps in, so they will get it. Can they get racks, though, is the question. Buyback is available on Bristle.
Can you actually buy back in this situation, though? I feel like if you do, and Na'Vi just keep fighting and win one more fight, you just lose double racks, and then that's even worse. They're going to expend their glyph for it. Illidan getting forced back here. He's going to kill the Necronomicon, takes quite a bit of damage from it. One vacuum goes off, melee racks drops as well. The Tombstone in the back line, keeping Virtus.pro back. They do not want to engage into this at all. It's going to be a free set of racks for Na'Vi, and they'll be able to walk away.
And that Roche Pit fight, by the way, as we talked about, the Tombstone, they did choose to fight into it. It took so long. Like, I think VP got surprised with how long was left on the Tombstone duration.
I wonder if they saw it there. Did they actually have vision of the high ground at that point?
They had the birds, but they might have not been able to see that area. I think they didn't see the Tombstone.
I think they didn't actually know it was down.
And that won the fight. If there's no Tombstone in that exact spot, I think Na'Vi get overrun easily. But the Tombstone zombie's doing so much work for them there. Now claiming the one lane of Rex is going to put them in a very comfortable position where they've just claimed back more than the entire lead they lost earlier.
Pretty good swing, not too shabby. And also important to note that influx of gold allows Dendy to get to his Silver Ridge, which is huge. And he has another double damage in his bottle.
And a big item for Kvos suddenly getting the Daedalus
And Blink for
and the
Winter
Blink
Wyvern.
Dagger for Wyvern. Very good item on this hero, of course, mainly for setting up the Winter's Curse, but also just good for staying at bay and being able to come in at the right time. Blink Cold Embrace, of course, a play, and the Blink Splinter Blast for Chase is also very nice. Just all in all, great utility item for that hero.
I'm really kind of thinking that blow that Na'Vi just dealt to VP, that was very, very harsh. Like, coming back from that, they didn't have to expend any buybacks, but they lose the Roche fight, they lose Rax. Very important items come up on 3 of the heroes of Na'Vi simultaneously. They're going to smoke up here. They know this is an opportunistic time. They have a huge advantage in terms of net worth right now. I think maybe 1 or 2 good fights, and Na'Vi could potentially just go for the double Rax.
I think they're going to win with just 1 good fight. I'm not sure how many buybacks VP have right now, but their heroes seem fairly low on gold. No, none on Silencer, none on Rubik. I think even Visage will not have enough right now. Nope, 17 short. So Lil will be getting that now with 1 CS. This does get it there. But yeah, Na'Vi are definitely not going to be scared. And the key hero right now for VP is Illidan. The global needs to land at the perfect time. Last time, it forces out 2 BKBs, but there's still so long duration for Na'Vi that it doesn't really matter as long as the heroes just get to reset and re-go, which they did. So the challenge for VP is probably to try to force out BKBs with a vacuum, and then seeing if they can follow after that and then global.
I actually
It's
feel
very challenging.
there's still
Bottom
some
tower
merit
is
to
under
globaling
attack.
just with the Beastmaster and Sonico at this point, because Roar and the Winter's Curse are still very good teamfight utilities. Oh, they're going to go on G again here. Winter's Curse coming out. Roar onto Illidan. The Tombstone is dropped as well. Huge teamfight coming out. Vacuum hitting on almost everyone. Dendi standing inside the wall. His Illusion is dealing so much damage to his own team. They're trying to just walk it off. Havosa in the base. In the meantime, with his BKB pop just running past, going towards the well once again. Will pop the time lapse to put himself back to safety, but or maybe not. Just gets bursted down immediately. BKB now off on Dendi. The Atos doing some work, allowing the team to catch up. They want to chase this out. Artstyle has a gem in his inventory, will be giving it to Virtus.pro, and all of a sudden, Na'Vi not feeling so hot. Phobos is chasing down Sonico inside of the river, pops a Glimmer Cape, almost vacuum up onto the high ground there. Very, very close. And Sonico, he's going to blink his way into the woods, not going to get scouted out by Phobos. But that fight, that was the vacuum wall that we needed.
A little bit of a Thor moment.
Yeah.
Crazy dive from Khvost going far in, but yeah, I agree. I thought, like, when I saw that vac wall, it seemed super laggy for me as well here. It's this weird server issue.
It felt like they were BKB but still got vacuumed. That was really weird. Like, there was a delay between, like, some ability usage there.
It's just issues. I don't think it's the, like, it's, to me it seems like a server thing, because it's happening to us as well, and everything else is running very smoothly. And it's just been some weird issues these last couple of days with the Valve servers. I believe Cyborg Matt put out a tweet last night explaining what could be causing it. And
There
they
were
might
some
not have
routing
resolved it
issues,
yet.
right?
Yeah. And, of course, that is very unfortunate in that kind of situation where it's really about being very clutch with your usage of individual abilities there. And just a half a second of lag when you're fighting into global silence can make the world of difference.
Yeah, definitely. That fight, though, I gotta say, Winter's Curse again on G. Like, is it actually worth it? If you're from Na'Vi right now, what is your perspective on dropping the ult on him? Was it just because Illidan was nearby? Maybe that was the intended target and you just wanted to go for him?
I think so. I also think Na'Vi just want to force the fight to start. Because if they don't do that, then they run the risk of having VP get the perfect initiation where they get to, like, let's say Rubik gets to have a telekinesis and the global, and then during that telekinesis they might kill a key target, and then all of a sudden it looks really bad. Instead, if Na'Vi force it with the curse, they know that at least 1, and in that case 2 key heroes cannot counterplay immediately, and, well, it still wasn't enough. I don't think, once again, that was the curse play. I think it's better if they can get the curse onto, maybe in that case, the Silencer, but I don't know if he was in reach.
I think he might have seen an opportunity to catch Illidan with just the disabled portion.
Such a big item, by the way.
Shield is, yeah.
Yes, this is huge. And BKB on G. I feel like this game is almost back to even. Sure, you're down a lane of racks, but 34 minutes in with this hero composition, very easily pushing out the lane with Ion Shells, with Birds, Bristleback taking no damage from dealing with it either, and only a 5k lead for Na'Vi. Not sure it's enough. They're probably going to need another Roche to take advantage here. And, you know, a lot of the time when people talk about the Shivas, they put a lot of emphasis on, of course, the active, the Blast, which slows down heroes' movement speed and, of course, deals a decent amount of damage. But looking at Navi's lineup, the attack speed slow negates Beastmaster's aura. I think it's actually a 1-to-1 negation. It is. It's 45 attack speed from the aura.
Pretty close.
It's also 45 with the Shivas.
That's 40.
It got buffed.
Did it?
I think 2 patches ago, 245. So.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's right. All right.
So Beastmaster is always a non-factor as long as DK Phobos is in the middle of the fight, and that is huge when you're playing against Weaver Dragon Knight.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing too is if you're going into a team fight right now and you're trying to go high ground against VP, your BKBs are also getting shorter as well. So every single time you fail a fight, it's like, okay, well, we have a 5-second window now, almost. I mean, Dendy's BKB is 6 seconds, but soon it will be 5. And if that's the case, is 5 seconds really enough to win the fight that hard? We're assuming in this later game phase, this past 35 minutes, you're going to be having buyback on multiple heroes. I think going high ground is going to be like the bane of Navi in this game.
I actually think that VP might have the stronger team fight lineup right now, even with a 6k deficit. As you pointed out, what are the BKBs down to? 7 on Frost, and Dendy's is 6.
Yeah.
That's probably enough right now. So when Global, if they use Global to force BKBs, that means the three other heroes for Navi use almost the entirety of the BKB charges staying silenced. It's a 5-second Global right now, soon to be 6 when he hits level 16 on Silencer. And then if Navi BKB that, then when it ends, I think unless Kvost can find a key kill with his BKB charge, Navi are going to get overrun. The Tombstone is starting to get really weak. This is when Undying starts to fall off. The main scaling, of course, is Flesh Golem, which stays relevant the entirety of the game for the damage amp. But VP have the tools.
I feel like in this game, Havost really wants to prey on FNG. Like, that's his intended target. Like, okay, I kill him, I prevent, like, Winter's Curse from getting stolen, I prevent Tombstone or Roar from getting stolen, but he just can't find him. FNG has been very good at having Shukuchi most of the game. In fact, he had it a while ago. It faded probably, like, a minute or so ago from his actual spell slot, but he also has Ghost. So, if you can't find the Rubik kill, who is your other target? Like, everyone on the side of VP is actually very difficult to kill, especially when you're trying to go up into high ground.
Yeah,
And
look
even
at Lil's
Lil,
armor.
He's a beast. He's got Solar Crest.
41 armor when he's next to the Kiras of Illidan.
I guess-
Of course, it falls off, but Weaver is a lot about the first few hits burst.
Yeah.
And armor from Gravekeeper's Cloak is going to keep him safe. So. Yeah.
Are we ever thinking
good
that
point.
there's a point in this game where Havost actually just gets so farmed that maybe the tables turn on VP, and in the late game, the Weaver is actually too hard to deal with on his own?
I don't think so. I think Silencer with Hex and Refresher is going to make quick work of him in any state of the game.
Okay.
If you get a Hex and you global, you force Navi to try to use defensive BKBs to even save Frost, and then you can refresh and do it again. And he will definitely fall. That is, of course, somewhere down the line. It's probably 15 to 20 minutes away if Illidan keeps finding decent farm. But it's definitely something for VP to aim at. I really don't know if Navi's late game is better. They're also going to be fighting against themselves with the wall, which of course scales very well, but then you could also make the argument, well, Wyvern is kind of similar, turning the enemy teams against themselves. So
Yeah.
we're in for a really interesting late game here. And you brought up a good point as far as finding Rubik. I think if they don't, it's not just about stealing the Shukuchi that we've seen in the past. It's actually not that difficult to steal Primal Roar. And that would be the biggest ability I think he can find against Navi in this game. Roaring down the Weaver is going to ruin their fight entirely.
Oh, this is ballsy. VP putting G inside of the pit. Then he's going to find a stun onto Illidan. They need to be able to save him here. The silence comes out. 3-man vacuum. The wall is dropped as well. Artstyle already wants out of this team fight. Both pops the BKB, immediately throws out the time lapse. They're chasing Dendy out of the fight. Winter's Curse coming out. It's onto 3 members of Virtus.pro. Funnick comes in, gets the roar, throws VP to the side. They want to go on G. Cold Embrace healing up Funnick here. No one is actually dropped just yet. Illidan is so low along with G. The first one to go down is Funnick, and Dendy soon to follow. VP winning the fight for the time being. Sonico, he wants to take down somebody, but the Arctic Burn's not enough. Lil, he finds a kill onto Havost, and VP, they're going to be able to secure Roshan.
I think they're definitely leading the game, even down to lane of
Oh, and
Rex.
Phobos inside of the woods. He gets art style as well. 4 down on the side of Na'Vi. They're losing their effigies to creeps, but it's fine. We got Roshan.
I really want to commend Illidan on his choice. He has historically made some really bad item and skill build
He was known for it for a while.
The Kiras this game was the perfect choice. I think it's been incredible for him. A stat actually came up that it's the first time in competitive Dota that Silencer gets the item. I kind of have a hard time believing that. I feel like I've seen it before, but might have just been some pub games or
You
whatever.
know what it is? It's Slasher's way. That's why.
Yes, that's
I mean,
true.
outside of the Shadow Blade.
That is true. But in this game, it's been incredible. It's given him the tankiness he needed together with the Rod of Atos. He stayed alive through these engages, and Navi just weren't able to bring him down. With this 25 armor and, of course, the Crimson Guard popped, they just can't finish him off. And in that last fight, if Illidan has any other like more regular silencer item, say a BKB or a Hex,
he explodes.
He would have died very quickly.
Yeah.
And Navi would have probably, won the game even before that fight if he didn't have the AC. So very, very nice choice from Illidan this game.
I kind of got to wonder, we've been seeing a lot of the same styles of fights coming out from VP. It's like everything opens up with a vacuum, really. And is it kind of Navi's draft that they have all these heroes who have to stand very close together that just allows Phobos to constantly find these really big vacuum wall plays? Because it feels like almost every single fight they get caught at least 3 heroes.
It's just the nature of Navi's lineup. It's in your face. They have to go in with multiple heroes. Like, they're not going to kill anyone unless Dendi and Hvos commit in together. And most of the time, they will want art style in the middle of it for the flesh gong. So those 3 heroes will very naturally get caught together. Of course, if they're BKB, they won't be touched by the vacuum. But even if they don't get touched, they still put the wall, and they just retreat behind it. And Navi, Dendi in particular, really doesn't want to run through that wall and give them a Frost Dragon.
And DK level 3 form, pretty OP in terms of illusions. And Virtus.pro now getting the tier 1 in the off lane here. 41 minutes in, pretty standard timing tier 1 kill. But they've also been fighting on the back foot for a very long time, and I would say this is probably the first time in the game after that Roshan fight where they feel confident enough to be out on the map on their own. Because that was the next thing I was going to bring up if Navi managed to successfully fight that Roshan, is if you're VP, we've only seen one style of fight, and that's defensive fighting. And I think when VP are out on the map, their lineup is still a tiny bit weaker because you're not always able to find those openings with the Darkseer quite as easily. But now, because of that huge win, I'd say that doesn't really matter.
And there are 2 very big items coming the way of VP soon. Silencer's Hex is about 1,000 gold away. You're looking over at Rubik, who just got a Blink. Darkseer, I believe this might be a refresher, which is going to be an absolute nightmare for Navi when their BKBs are as low duration as they are. If the first vacuum forces out BKBs, he just needs to reset, get a second wall back, and then they're in a lot of trouble. He could also consider turning this into either a Lotus Orb or a Linken's, which I think both of the items would be very good. There's a lot of single target abilities in Navi that would reflect Wyvern ult, Roar, Dragon Tail. It's a lot of merit to the Lotus.
I guess you just throw it on G, right? Because he's always the target, like no matter what. I think Illidan's
going to be more the primary target from here on out. They have to kill him. He deals more damage than G.
Yeah, that is true. But in the Roshan fight, it was on Illidan, right? But most of the other times it's been on G because they were trying to go high ground. So I guess it's a bit easier to find Illidan if you're fighting open field fights and not like pushing into enemy base.
Dire's bottom tower is under attack.
Some reactions coming out from both teams as Virtus.pro are going to teleport back to defend the rat of Hobos and of course Dendi. And Hobos is making his way towards Butterfly. That's still a fairly big pickup. I just haven't really felt the presence of the Weaver so much this game. Like, sure, he does a lot of damage, but I really think his biggest issue is, again, not having those supports that you want to be able to feed on. Like, that's kind of what Weaver excels at the most, in my opinion.
Absolutely. It's Weaver is not really that good of a hero for cluster fights.
Yeah.
And that's what every single fight in this game is. It's incredible for skirmishing and split pushing, but we're not seeing that kind of game. And the issue he has is with his item build, you're looking at his tankiness and his armor. It's great that he has a BKB, but it's down to 6. He's got a lot of damage with Daedalus as well as Eagle Song, but until he gets the evasion coming out from the Butterfly he's building, he's got 13 armor. The Visage alone can force him to time-lapse in 3 seconds. He just uses the Solar Crest aggressively and puts 3 birds on him, and Ghost cannot sustain that amount of damage. And it removes all of his freedom in the fights, and that's not counting the fact that now Silencer has a Hex. And of course, the Rubik Lift is always a threat, so...
I think if they catch out somebody with a Hex, that hero is just dead to rights. Like, there is absolutely no way you can live through that. Just the damage that Illidan does alone. He hits for 210 base, on top of having 188 int on Glaives. So he's going to be hitting you for well over 120 plus extra damage on top of that pure. I'm not sure what Na'Vi are meant to do now. Do they just delay for a very long time, hope that maybe you can pick up like your Butterfly on the Weaver, maybe even get his own Assault Cuirass, just to try to counteract the mass amount of tankiness on the side of VP? Because I really don't think he'll ever be able to build enough pure damage to make a difference.
I think the key item to get for Na'Vi is Force Staff, actually.
Okay.
So that they can counteract the Hex play. Soniko does have the gold for it right now, after, of course, going Blink into Glimmer. And the thing is, you know, usually the Glimmer plus Cold Embrace renders the hero almost invulnerable, but the pure damage obviously still goes through. So what you can do is you can encase someone, and you can actually Force Staff the Ice Block, or you can Force Staff the Hex out. And it's very surprising to see in a game like this, where it's so much about who gets the jump and how they how they reorganize themselves in the fight and reset and re-go, that neither team has picked up a single force. I think for both teams, even 45 minutes in, it's a very valuable item that they should definitely consider.
Even Lotus Orb is really good. I mean, the Force Knife is a cheaper option, right? And you can use the Lotus Orb to dispel the Hex too, so you have some merit there.
That is very true. They could get that as well.
Yeah, I think this is one of the few games where Lotus Orb is actually good for both teams. But either way, Na'Vi still pressuring the map. Just an experienced team realizing that they can't just go on the back foot after losing 1 or 2 fights. And they're managing to keep VP contained for the time being. That top racks being down is helping them pretty significantly in this case. Oh, Sonico almost getting caught out here. He gets spotted out by the birds. He's actually just going to get lifted. The bird positioning too strong. Phobos with the Shiva secure, and that is 322 gold going their way.
Nice.
Sorry, I couldn't help it. I saw it and I was just like, all right, I got it.
I'm down with the dank memes.
Yeah, it's true. He needed exactly that bird positioning to kill him.
And it's actually not an insignificant spell steal from FNG. His range with Arctic Burn, he gets, how much is it? 575 attack range in addition to 600. He's gonna, when he uses Arctic Burn, you're usually like, wow, Wyvern hits really far away. He has an additional 175 range with this, and it's a decent slow. He can cast it very safely and slow down heroes, and it scales into late game. It's percentage based, so
yeah, on your
very,
current
very
health.
good.
Yeah. So if you throw out auto attack on the art style and Dendi, and that's all you do with the Arctic Burn, still value. Or even like Funning, for example. The damage is real. On this tier 3 tower, by the way, they hit really hard. The Tombstone has already been thrown down, so if they choose to dive on this, G looked like he wanted to go for the Tombstone hit, but he's going to decide better of it. Doesn't want to put himself in harm's way too much. Still has
what did he steal?
BKB. He got the Dragon Form.
Dragon Form, not too shabby.
Yeah, if he can hit the tower once or twice, it's not bad. Global Silence comes out. Illidan wants to go in, throws out the Hex on the Dendi. He's going to force him back up to the high ground. Illidan just does not care at this point. He is getting focused, though, pretty heavily. He's got the cheese, but he's not going to be able to pop it in time. Na'Vi gets 1 kill. They're turning it around on G. Very late BKB usage. They're going to lose 2. Na'Vi pushing VP back for the time being. FNG Shikuchiing as an Elder Dragon. Who'd ever thought that could actually happen? And Sonico, he's going to get bursted down by the birds. Dendi now receiving a stun on top of that. Havos picking up the double in the meantime. 3-for-1 exchange so far. Na'Vi only losing the Winter Wyvern. Not a bad defense at all.
And you need to consider, Funnick wasn't even there. Like, he was split pushing mid and almost got the tier 3. Forced the Darkseer back to defend. And that's the bigger thing. Like, with Darkseer rotating back to base, they lose their Shivas, they lose their wall that was never used, and the wall has been such an integral part of their team fights. That global from Illidan was just really underwhelming. He hexed the Dragon Knight and they wanted to go for it, but they couldn't follow through. The rest of the team weren't really in position, and then any sort of misplay like that has really dire consequences for VP.
Well, they do have triple buyback. I'm not even sure if Na'Vi are going to be able to make them spend it. Just dropping that wall defensively means that Na'Vi don't really have the opportunity to push high ground. I guess that's the problem when you have to use DK Dragon Form every fight, is that your one high ground hero can't actually go high ground anymore until the ulti's back up for them. So I guess that's a little bit of a blessing for VP in disguise. It's still okay. I mean, they're all going to be up for contesting Roshan, which right now Na'Vi are currently poised to try to take. They have everyone up, but Havos is still sitting at around half health. And it sounds like a small thing, but being half HP for a Roshan fight is not great.
Yeah, and it's actually going to take Na'Vi quite a bit of time to kill this Rosh. It's starting to scale pretty well. They're going to use the book. If they get caught here, they might actually lose the game.
Okay,
this is a very ballsy play.
They're killing it pretty slow,
looks like VP have no idea.
Okay, now the damage is coming.
Global is ready in 10. Well, they got it a bit faster than I thought they would, actually.
Havos actually does a ton of damage. He got his butterfly after that team fight, and he has 2,400 gold on top of that. I really do not think that VP want to engage this.
Oh, and Na'Vi see this with the Hawk as well. They know exactly what's going on. They can choose whether they want to go or not. They're just going to play it safe here.
That is the good call, I think.
Yeah, I agree with this decision. Even with Aegis, just fight in a better arena for you. Want to point out as well, Na'Vi sitting on both Vlads and AC in a cluster fight game like this, having the extra 10 armor on everyone, and of course the damage aura as well as lifesteal is incredibly important. I don't know if Lil going for a plate mail here is the right call. I think he's going to turn it into a Lotus Orb, but I would have liked to see him get a Vlad's for the team. I do believe they don't have one, right?
No, they do not have
one. They
do
not. So that it's so valuable for its cost. Like the new Vlad's is even better than the old one because it also works even on the silencer. The lifesteal can make a big difference. Now this is challenge number 2 for Na'Vi. Take 2 on the bottom lane. Will they be able to pull it off? Who's that? Dendi's far away. if VP go for this, this could very well give them a very good fight.
Yeah, I don't think they want to do this, though. They're definitely realizing now, hey, Dendy's not here. We probably shouldn't try to go high ground against this team. Just a little bit too scary at this point in time. And they did reveal the smoke that they both came out from FNG, so they had a pretty good idea that the rest of them were there and in position just in case anything went down. But both teams backing off for now. It's a very tense game. I'd actually say this might just be the closest game we've seen so far.
I agree. And I was expecting a very action-packed game out of these two teams clashing. It's only been, I mean, I'm saying only 1 kill per minute.
Yeah.
But it's been so many fights after all. Like it hasn't been a slow game with a couple of big fights. It's been just a lot of fights where multiple heroes die, but never really, or a couple of times, I guess, a lot of heroes, but the others have had like 1 or 2 casualties and teams have retreated, so.
The other thing, too, is when you have very experienced teams, both teams vie for the map control, and FNG going for that lift, not going to be able to get it, but just a matter of like moving around on the map and Na'Vi forcing pressure against VP and making them sit in their base. Even when we both felt that VP were in a good spot, that's just good play. Like, you don't want the enemy team to free farm if you can pressure them enough to force them back. So
FNG.
Got Shuchi.
Spell he likes. And Darkseer actually has the choice now of saving for buyback or going for the ref, and he's saving for now.
Is saving really, like, for Darkseer buying back, is it actually that good?
It is if he's the one getting jumped. If they can force BKBs to kill the Darkseer and he can all of a sudden surprise them with a buyback, he comes in very fast. He has Boots of Travel and Blink.
So you think kind of like a suicide play?
Yeah, they can use it as a bait, and that might be the way to play into Aegis Cheese. When Na'Vi have that, they of course do have an advantage in the upcoming fight. It's all about forcing out BKBs and key ultimates and getting a trade. Although, of course, the refresher would be ridiculous if he doesn't get jumped as well. Like getting 2 vacuums and 2 walls. Very, very powerful. However, for me, if they can wait until Illidan has his refresher too and buy them at the same time, they can get the biggest surprise fight that Na'Vi is probably not going to win, even with Aegis and Cheese, but he's got a way to go for Illidan, so
yeah, he has
perhaps not too likely.
I think just having the buyback should be enough. Like, Na'Vi, they could probably deal significant damage here, but I would be very surprised if they can just flat out win the game on this push. But they're going to try to go for it. Most, he's going to get lifted here inside of the base. Has that Aegis, of course. He's going to get Hex. Still has an evasion, though. Going to get healed up.
Big cooldown. 30 seconds on the Hex. This is probably the tower, I think.
Yeah, their range damage is insane. Dendy, he's going to walk up here. They're very, very aggressive in their positioning on VP.
Oh, he stole Tombstone on FNG. That's the goal call for VP.
Well, I mean, they're just going to run it off right now. Phobos going for vacuum. He actually managed it on 3. Here comes the global silence. Artstyle in a lot of trouble here. He's most likely going to be the first one to drop. Pavos has his own BKB pop. He's going in the backline. He wants to find Illidan inside of the base. And Lil, he's going to eat a roar here from Funnick. He is also going to go down. Winter's Curse coming out onto G. Sonico going to be the next one to drop here. And it seems like VP have the momentum to push this out. Dendy now on retreat, realizing he might have stayed a little bit too long. Has a Cheese at his disposal, but he's got no
that's
team.
a waste of Cheese
Yeah,
there.
that was not great.
Big fight for VP. That's a key spell steal. It just prompts the engage, and Na'Vi being a Tombstone down and fighting into one is, even though it's 52 minutes, it's just an annoying slow. And if you look at these team fights, I mean, it's funny because when we're observing this, it's very hard to keep track of the action. Imagine playing a fight like that. It's just one big clusterfuck, and you don't know what you're going on, more or less. So Tombstone can actually, just for the mental aspect of that fight and keeping the overview, it causes a lot of chaos and confusion, and VP get a big advantage out of that. Kroos needs to be careful. He could get Blink lifted right now, or just Blink hexed. This is probably just going to be the Aegis down the drain.
Yeah,
there
it goes. They have a couple of birds to stun him out, but the BKB is up, so I think they'll be fine here.
Yep.
Yeah, he just pops
forced to use it. This tower's gone. Na'Vi buyback on Dendy is available. They have Glyph.
Now these birds are fully charged too, so I think they get this. They might even force the buyback, or at the very least trade racks. There's no Glyph anymore. Yeah, look at how fast these buildings are dying. Artstyle goes in. Is that another Tombstone
steal? That is not where you want to put
that. All right, well, the Tombstone is already dead. Artstyle, he's going to get lifted here. Still has a Crimson available if he wants to pop it. He's just trying to buy time for Dendy's respawn. Artstyle, by the way, does not have buyback. He will get a Cold Embrace, though, from his teammate. G going back in. He's going to hit him down with his mace. And this is not great.
Oh, that's a good Wyvern ult.
Illidan, he's getting really low
though. It eventually wears off. Vacuum and Wall onto 2. Sonico gets the Yules onto himself. Roar going off on Illidan. They do manage to kill him. Dendi is up and he's ready to fight. FNG totally out of mana at this point. Funnick getting chased down by a BKBG. In the meantime, Dendi, he's forced a Shadow Blade. They did not manage to find FNG, but they do manage to find G. And now VP once again on retreat. They want to get out of here. They don't end up forcing the buyback from Dendi. That respawn timing could not have been better, and Artstyle's sacrifice was not in vain.
It looked like it was going to be a really bad
They get the
decision
Rex,
going in.
though. Some birds. Why not?
I really thought he was just going to die in vain. He dropped his tombstone, he got it stolen. That's kind of worse than not dropping it.
Yeah.
And just Soneko kept him alive so long. Cold Embrace, I think he might have even been glimmered. And after that, nice Glimmer Cape save on Dendi as well. Or was it? No, that was on Funnick when G was trying to run him down in the base. A very key hero to keep alive. Like right now, every single kill matters a lot because if they lose the Beastmaster there, they can't really put this amount of pressure on the map. And with him alive, they might be able to force a buyback, which is probably what the end of this game is going to come down to. Voss might have to BKB this, or at least time lapse.
Oh my god, the stun lock is so real. Wasn't expecting the vacuum to stop him from BKBing between those stuns.
I'm thinking of a number.
Is it between 3 and 5?
No.
Oh, then I'm lost.
It's between 321 and 323.
321 and a half? Sorry.
Lame.
Not dank enough for Cinder.
Nope.
Confirmed. So,
come on, you used it earlier, right?
yeah.
I was actually thinking about 4. I was thinking about 2 numbers, so I tricked you.
So you just changed it. You just wanted to do that to hurt my feelings, didn't you? Well, it
It's
worked.
the best.
Okay. Anyway, VP obviously defending their base there. They kill Voss. Not going to be able to force a buyback or anything like that. I honestly think the next point of contention is probably just going to be Roche again. And both teams, I think, regardless of which one gets it, huge advantage going into the next fight.
Absolutely. It's going to be probably the last Roshan of the game. I think the team that gets it will win the game. That's how important it is right now. If VP get it, I fail to see them losing another fight. Whereas Na'Vi with it can't feel safe, but it's their... I don't think they can actually siege high ground without it at this point. They really need the Aegis in order to do anything aggressively. Well, they're going to have to wait for it.
For the time being, Virtus.pro trying to get that map control back on their side, while Funnick is counter-pushing top lane. It seems like both teams are going to probably stick together for the most part, just because, like you mentioned earlier, solo kills are so important. Like, forcing one extra buyback can just be the make or break in your game. VP, in the meantime, they do secure that tier 2 in the safe lane.
All right, I want a stat on how many times this has happened. E-Blade on Rubik.
I mean, it's legit. You can sit in a good position with Shukuchi and Blink. You E-Blade the curse target every single time.
Yes,
And
it
they
is
just-
an incredible item.
You don't see it.
I couldn't agree more with this choice. It's probably the highest value item against a team like this. I feel like I've never seen this. It might be like the second or third time it's happened.
He's actually played so well. Like,
Yeah.
FNG, in my opinion, got to be up there for MVP mode. Like, he's always gotten Shukuchi during fights. Maybe not the hardest spell to steal, but like you were saying, these fights are extremely hectic. And he's been stealing multiple spells and then getting Shukuchi back during the fight. At the end of the fight, when they were bottom and he stole the tombstone and they win it, he managed to get Shukuchi before that fight was over. So he's just been playing out of his mind.
And he's doing that without Ags, by the way. So the cooldown on his ult is 16 seconds right now.
Yeah.
So using it very, very well. Getting the key abilities he really wants. And this E-Blade, I feel like, could be a game-deciding item pickup. That... It's the 7th time a Rubik has ever got it, was the stat coming in there. And considering the amount of games Rubik plays, that's less than a 1% item pickup. Just very, very rare that you see usually the position 5 hero that Rubik is played as, and also in this game, being able to afford it.
I gotta say,
This is an interesting wraparound play that Na'Vi are attempting.
they're gonna find somebody. That's gonna be a gem, most likely going the way of Na'Vi. FNG fairly tanky though. He's gonna E-Blade himself, gets to lift Shukuchi's away. There's the Dragon Tail. Illidan is here though. He's not popped the global just yet. There we go. Finally, Gem is on deck. Artstyle popping that Shiva's. BKB's coming out from both teams. Vacuum on Artstyle on the low ground. Habos, he's gonna be forced out of this one as well. Here comes the Winter's Curse, and everyone's turning around, dealing quite a bit of damage to Phobos. Wall still not dropped just yet. Finally gonna be thrown out after a 2-man Vacuum. Lil, he's dropping in the meantime. Artstyle's gonna be soon to follow. Right now it's a 2-for-1. Make that a 2-for-2 as G picks up the double. Now he wants to chase on the Habos. Dendi's also still here, but the break coming out from the Silver Edge just disintegrates G immediately. Double buyback from Virtus.pro right now. Their bottom lane who's being sieged in the meantime. Funnick able to teleport his way down there, trying to go for a little bit of rat. Very nice play from Na'Vi.
And FNG shows up, immediately getting Shukuchi. Another buyback. I think this they're trying to set up for Roche. They want to force VP to burn more than 2 buybacks. I think the Wyvern buyback probably the least important on Navi's side, or maybe he felt he had to defend the base, but I would not agree with that for that purpose, but should secure the Roche here. I think VP, they're going to regret not buying back here. I think on the Bristle, they might have been able to take this fight 4-on-4 with the bird still being available for Visage.
Was he fast enough, though? Because he does have bots, never mind. Yeah, you're right. I definitely think he could have.
They could have ported on the birds with all their 3 BOT.
I didn't realize he had bots.
So. And what's Illidan building, by the way? He's got 2 plate mails.
Shivas.
He's got Assault Caress, but they already have one on the Darkseer, so they will be going double Shivas. It's a great item on the Silencer for sure. I was wondering if there was any sort of, if he was considering the Lotus Orb on the Silencer.
You mentioned
But yeah,
Refresher.
probably
I think
double Shivas.
Refresher or Shivas or Lotus, they all have their merits, right? Like all of them function pretty well in this scenario. I just thought Shivas because it's the obvious go-to, extra and more damage. Wow, this Rax is getting annihilated. Dendy, he's gonna get lived. Curse coming out from Sonico this time. Roar onto FNG. They want to take down that pesky Rubik, but the E-Blade and Chikuchi away. He's gonna be fine. Dendy pops G's. BKB still up. They're going onto Illidan straight away. Just not that much damage coming out for the time being. There is.
Oh, that's a good back wall.
3 taken down here. Dendy sitting inside the cold embrace. They're going to take down the Winter Wyvern. In the meantime, they do lose their bottom set of racks. Dendy, he's trying to retreat out. He's still under the vision of the tier 4s. The Silver Edge is not going to get him away. And they do get 2 very big kills. Dendy, of course, does have buyback. And the rest of Navi are
does not, and Virtus.pro know this. I think this might be the time when you go for a Hail Mary play. You forced out the cheese. You know there's no buyback on Wyvern. That gives you 70 seconds, but can you cross the map fast enough? They have a wave mid. Are they even going to try for it? I think playing this one defensively might be a risky play, but at the same time, the threat of just the backdooring Beastmaster might repel them going for this.
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure if they can at this point. Like, they got the 2 racks bottom lane during the team fight. Like, I'm pretty sure Funnick just said, nope, I threw out my roar, I've done my job, I'm just going for buildings. And they just turned around and...
Oh my god, Phobos is so huge.
Yeah, Aghanims, Refresher, Shivas, Mech, Bots, Blink. That's a pretty hard slotted Darkseer right there.
If he gets 2 walls on 2 key targets on Navi, they cannot lose a fight. It's like impossible.
Yeah.
Those illusions are going to hit ridiculously hard. It's what is the damage on level 3?
140, right?
It's what is it? It's really that high?
I think so. Yeah, it's 140.
Yeah, 140% damage. Of course, that's only out of stats. It doesn't account for damage items. But still, the base damage of the Dragon Knight right now is about 170, and the Weaver is 160. So each of those illusions will be hitting for more than 200.
And each wall
if you make 2
also,
of those, like, this is ridiculous.
They both still nuke you as well. So I mean, it's 150 damage if you walk through the wall in general, which doesn't sound like a lot, but if you're fighting and you're just kind of like walking back and forth and your illusion keeps respawning, it can still deal a lot of damage. But Virtus.pro, they want to try to get something back here. They know they need to try to equalize the Rax advantage, and they will be able to find the range Rax. Here comes the curse onto G. The damage output is insane with the break. He just melts again. Vacuum wall, though, hitting on 3 from Navi. The refresher comes out from Phobos. He gets another wall and the global on top of it. But is it enough? VP, Navi are actually running outside of their own base. They're trying to buy time. They have 2 buybacks on Weaver, and the Aegis, of course, coming out from Havost here. Immediate buyback from Artstyle. Dendy is going to be dropping as well. He's going to be forced to buy back. It's a triple kill coming out from the Dragon Knight, and Avost, he dies again. That's another buyback. The 2 walls are still standing. Virtus.pro is sieging the racks right now. They need to try to get this melee racks. Here comes Funnick. He gets the roar. Illidan going to be in trouble. FNG trying to make his way out on top of that. G comes back in, gets the bash into the Abyssal Blade onto Funnick. He wants to get somebody before he drops, but he can't. There's no buyback on the Bristle or the Silencer in this case. This game is insane. Like, how often do you actually see a successful double wall on 3 heroes with 2 vacuums, and then they buy back on 3 heroes with an Aegis? They killed like 9 heroes there. They killed 9 heroes.
Everyone loses.
I mean, obviously.
But VP lose the game.
Yeah, but VP lose. I mean, that was.
Everyone loses, but VP lose.
I don't even know what to say. By far the craziest game so far that we've seen here at the ASUS ROG DreamLeague Season 3 LAN Finals. I don't even... What is Dota?
Yeah, this is absolutely a crazy game. Both teams really delivering. This is, of course, gonna be the end of the game. There's almost no hope for VP for holding. They do not have key cooldowns. They have 2 cores on the sidelines. They're gonna do their best. Phobos is going to get cursed.
Low. Phobos, he's going to be dropping here. They might not be able to take down the Undying, and this could be the beginning of the end. He's going to get frozen up here. Yules on Sonico. Good game. Well played. Game number 1. goes the way of Na'Vi. And I gotta say, I mean, no matter who wins that game, you gotta still feel like that game was close. Like, at the end of those types of games, you've obviously played in those situations before. Mentally, are you frustrated, or do you feel like, okay, we made a handful of mistakes, we can definitely win game 2?
I think VP are gonna take from this game that they were pretty far behind and they actually managed to fight back.
Yeah.
So they're probably gonna approach the second game thinking, all right, if we can fight like this at a disadvantage, if we get ahead, we've got this. So when it comes to these super late game situations, a lot of the times it comes down to a single mistake that just snowballs completely out of hand. And I don't feel like VP necessarily made one of those, but it's just, yeah, you really can't rely on, well, you can try to rely on your individual performances and your teamwork, but really, it's impossible to keep track of all the things happening. Like in this kind of game with all these absolutely ridiculous team fights, you know, you're just calling a target, like, I'm Windows cursing this guy, let's go. And then maybe it works, maybe it doesn't, and you just have to try for it. And
Yeah.
Na'Vi, they do manage to make it in this game, but that was really, really entertaining and crazy fighting all around. This is what we were expecting for the matchup, so I'm just happy we got it.
I mean, we thought it was going to be a shorter game, though.
Yeah.
When we came in, we're like, it's probably going to be like 25, 30 minutes, maybe. Both teams will fight a heck of a lot, see some good team action, and then one team's going to take it. But very impressive performance coming out from both teams. Na'Vi, of course, successfully winning game number 1. We will be back, though, after a short break for game number 2 between Virtus.pro and Na'Vi.
6 shit.